History books love to talk about epic battles, heroic leaders, and world-changing inventions. But hidden between all that glory are moments so ridiculous, so unbelievably stupid, you'd swear someone made them up after a few too many drinks. These aren't myths or internet memes. These things actually happened. From nations losing wars to birds, to world leaders declaring war on pigs, to governments that seriously thought, let's nuke the moon was a good idea. Human history is one long highlight reel of wait, they really did that. So buckle up. Because by the end of this video, you'll realize something terrifying. The past wasn't just brutal or brilliant. It was spectacularly dumb. Number 1. The Great Emu War, 1932. In 1932, Australia fought one of history's most ridiculous wars against emus. Yes, actual birds. After World War I, farmers complained that thousands of emus were destroying their wheat fields, so the government sent soldiers armed with machine guns to handle it. But the emus were too fast, too smart, and apparently bulletproof. The troops wasted over 10,000 rounds trying to hit them and barely made a dent. Eventually, the army admitted defeat and withdrew. The emus? They strutted off victorious. It remains the only war in history humanity officially lost to birds. And number 2. The Cadaver Synod, 897 AD. In one of history's most grotesque trials, the Catholic Church literally put a dead pope on trial. Pope Stephen VI hated his predecessor, Pope Formosus, so much that he had the man's corpse dug up months after burial, dressed in papal robes, and placed on a throne to face charges of perjury and corruption. A terrified deacon was forced to defend the decomposing body. The verdict? Guilty, obviously. They cut off his blessing fingers and tossed the corpse into the Tiber River. It wasn't just a power struggle. It was medieval politics turned full-blown horror show. Number 3. Operation Paul Bunyan, 1976. Only the Cold War could turn tree trimming into a potential world war. After North Korean soldiers killed 2 U.S. officers for trying to prune a poplar tree blocking visibility in the DMZ, America responded with a full-scale military operation to finish the job. Operation Paul Bunyan deployed chainsaws, 23 vehicles, dozens of heavily armed troops, fighter jets, bombers, and even aircraft carriers, all to cut down one tree. No shots were fired. The tree was obliterated. It remains the most aggressively over-prepared landscaping project in human history. Number 4. The Dancing Plague of 1518. In the summer of 1518, the citizens of Strasbourg, France, were hit by the weirdest epidemic in history. People started dancing uncontrollably for days on end. It began with one woman spinning wildly in the street, then spread until hundreds were frantically dancing without rest. Some reportedly dropped dead from exhaustion, heart attacks, or strokes. Local officials, thinking music would help them dance it out, actually hired musicians. That only made it worse. No one knows the cause. Theories range from ergot poisoning to mass hysteria. But one thing's certain, it was history's deadliest dance marathon. Number 5. The War of the Bucket, 1325. Leave it to medieval Italy to turn petty theft into a full-blown war. In 1325, soldiers from Medina snuck into rival Bologna and stole, wait for it, a wooden bucket from a city well. Bologna demanded it back. Medina refused. And just like that, 30,000 men went to war over a piece of plumbing. The battle was fierce, the casualties were real, and in the end, Medina won. Their prize? Keeping the bucket. That same wooden bucket is still displayed in a Medina museum today. A monument to one of the dumbest victories in history. Number 6. The Defenestration of Prague, 1618. If you've ever been so mad you wanted to throw someone out a window, the people of Prague beat you to it literally. In 1618, Protestant nobles, furious at Catholic officials, stormed Prague Castle and hurled 3 of them out a 3rd-story window. Amazingly, all 3 men survived the fall. Catholics claimed angels saved them. Protestants said they landed in manure. That act of window-based diplomacy ignited the 30 Years' War, one of the bloodiest conflicts in European history. So yes, a world war started because someone couldn't handle a meeting and chose gravity instead. Number 7. The Great Molasses Flood, 1919. Boston, 1919. A massive storage tank holding over 2 million gallons of molasses exploded without warning. A 25-foot high wave of sticky syrup rushed through the streets at 35 miles per hour, crushing buildings, flipping cars, and trapping people like flies on a candy apple. 21 people died, hundreds were injured, and the city smelled like a bakery for months. Cleanup took years. Investigators later discovered the tank was poorly built and leaking for months, but the owners ignored it. So yes, one of America's deadliest industrial accidents was caused by bad maintenance and dessert topping. Number 8. The Pig War, 1859. The U.S. and Great Britain once nearly went to war over a pig. On San Juan Island, a border dispute between the two nations turned ugly when an American farmer shot a British pig that wandered into his garden. Both sides sent troops, warships, and cannons, all ready to fight over one unlucky porker. Tensions stayed high for weeks until cooler heads prevailed. No shots were fired except at the pig, and the crisis ended peacefully. To this day, historians call it the war where the only casualty was bacon. Number 9. The Great Whiskey Fire, 1875. Dublin, Ireland, 1875. A massive fire broke out in a bonded whiskey warehouse, sending thousands of gallons of burning liquor flooding through the city's streets like rivers of flame. People panicked, buildings caught fire, and firefighters quickly realized using water would only spread the blaze. So what did locals do? Some tried to drink the flaming whiskey as it flowed by. 14 people died, not from burns, but from alcohol poisoning. It remains one of history's most Irish disasters, a fire fueled entirely by whiskey and bad decisions. Number 10. The Battle of Los Angeles, 1942. In 1942, just months after Pearl Harbor, Los Angeles erupted in panic when air raid sirens blared and anti-aircraft guns began firing into the night sky. For hours, searchlights scanned the clouds as the military unloaded over 1,400 shells at what they believed was a Japanese air raid. The enemy aircraft? There weren't any. It was a weather balloon, or possibly just nerves and smoke. No bombs were dropped, but the city suffered millions in damage and several heart attacks. America's only battle fought entirely against the sky itself. Number 11. The Football War, 1969. Yes, an actual war started because of soccer. In 1969, Honduras and El Salvador were already tense over immigration and land disputes. Then came a series of World Cup qualifying matches. Fights broke out, riots erupted, and before long, both nations declared war. The conflict lasted 100 hours, about 4 days, killing thousands and destroying both economies. While the soccer games didn't cause the war, they definitely lit the fuse. It's the only time in history when a missed goal quite literally led to an airstrike. Number 12. Tulip Mania, 1637. In 17th century Holland, tulips weren't just flowers, they were gold mines. At the height of tulip mania, a single rare bulb could cost more than a mansion in Amsterdam. People sold their homes, livestock, and life savings just to gamble on petals. Then, just as fast as it began, the bubble burst. Prices collapsed overnight, fortunes vanished, and the Dutch economy went into freefall. It remains one of the earliest recorded financial crashes, all sparked by people going bankrupt over fancy flowers. Number 13. Operation Northwoods, 1962. In the height of the Cold War, the U.S. military cooked up one of the most unhinged plans ever proposed, Operation Northwoods. The idea? Stage fake terrorist attacks on American soil and blame Cuba to justify an invasion. The proposals included hijacking planes, sinking boats full of refugees, and even faking astronaut deaths. All for propaganda. Thankfully, President Kennedy took one look at the plan and shut it down immediately. It's one of those moments in history that makes you wonder, how many wild ideas didn't get stopped in time? Number 14. The Explosion of the Whale, 1970. In 1970, Oregon officials faced a bizarre problem. A 45-foot dead whale had washed up on the beach, and it stank. Their genius solution? Blow it up with half a ton of dynamite. The result was pure chaos. The explosion sent giant chunks of rotting whale flesh raining down for hundreds of meters. One car was completely crushed by a flying slab of blubber. The beach ended up more covered in whale than before. It's now legendary proof that sometimes the worst ideas come from people just trying to clean up efficiently. Number 15. Napoleon's Rabbit Attack, 1807. After signing a peace treaty, Napoleon Bonaparte decided to celebrate with a friendly rabbit hunt. His staff arranged for several hundred rabbits to be released for the occasion. Only there was a mix-up. Instead of wild hares, they brought tame farm rabbits. When released, the rabbits didn't run away. They charged straight at Napoleon. Dozens swarmed him, thinking he was there to feed them. The great conqueror of Europe ended up fleeing from a fuzzy army. Witnesses said it looked like a rolling tide of fur. And that's how one of history's most feared generals lost a battle. To bunnies. Number 16. The Great Stink of London, 1858. Imagine an entire city that smells like an open sewer. That was London in the summer of 1858. The River Thames had become so polluted with human waste that the stench was unbearable. Lawmakers in Parliament literally fled their chambers, hanging soaked curtains in vinegar to survive the smell. The heat wave made it worse, turning the river into a toxic soup. But the Great Stink actually forced the government to act. It led to the creation of London's modern sewer system, saving millions of lives. So yes, modern sanitation owes its existence to one hot, disgusting summer when Parliament decided they'd had enough of poop air. Number 17. The Day It Rained Meat, 1876. In a small town in Kentucky, residents looked up one afternoon to find meat falling from the sky. For several minutes, chunks of raw flesh rained down over a small farm, covering an area the size of a tennis court. People collected samples, tasted them, because of course they did, and debated whether it was beef, lamb, or something else entirely. Scientists later suggested it was likely vultures vomiting mid-flight after being startled, which is somehow worse than the mystery itself. Either way, the Kentucky meat shower proved one thing. In 19th century America, weird weather didn't stop lunch plans. Number 18. The exploding whale carcass of Taiwan, 2004. History repeated itself, this time in Taiwan. In 2004, a massive 60-ton sperm whale washed ashore near Tainan City. Instead of blowing it up, scientists decided to transport it through the city for research. But halfway there, the whale exploded on its own from built-up gas pressure. The blast sent entrails, blood, and whale guts splattering across cars, buildings, and unlucky pedestrians. Streets had to be closed for cleanup, and the smell lasted for weeks. Locals described it as a rain of intestines. It's proof that sometimes, even when you don't use dynamite, nature still handles the fireworks for you. Number 19. The Great Toilet Paper Panic, 1973. In 1973, America faced a shortage scare, not of food, fuel, or medicine, but toilet paper. It all started when Johnny Carson, the famous late-night host, joked on TV that there might be a shortage. People believed him. Overnight, store shelves were stripped bare as panic shoppers hoarded every roll they could find. The shortage became real because of the panic itself. Manufacturers scrambled to keep up, but it took months before things calmed down. It was one of the dumbest national crises in U.S. history, all sparked by a late-night joke that went too far. Number 20. The Cursed Sword of Muramasa. In feudal Japan, the blades forged by swordsmith Sengo Muramasa were said to be so sharp and so bloodthirsty that they became cursed. Legends claimed the swords would demand blood, driving their wielders mad until they killed someone, even themselves. Whether superstition or propaganda, the myth got so strong that the Shogun Tokugawa Ieyasu banned all Muramasa blades, ordering them destroyed. Collectors still whisper that a few survived, hidden away and still hungry. It's a chilling reminder that sometimes a weapon's reputation cuts deeper than its steel. Number 21. The Night of a Radish, 1897, present. Every December in Oaxaca, Mexico, people gather for one of the strangest festivals on earth, La Noche de Rabanos, or the Night of the Radish. It started when local farmers began carving radishes into figures to attract Christmas shoppers. It got so popular that the city turned it into an official competition. Today, artists carve entire scenes, from nativity displays to dragons, all made from giant radishes. The sculptures wilt within hours, but that's part of the fun. It's proof that humans can turn literally anything, even salad ingredients, into an excuse for art and celebration. Number 22. The Phantom Time Hypothesis, 1991. A German historian once proposed that the years 614 to 911 AD never happened. According to his phantom time hypothesis, the early Middle Ages were completely fabricated, invented by medieval rulers and the church to make their reigns seem more important. If true, that would mean Charlemagne never existed, and we're actually living in the year 1728. Historians quickly shredded the theory, but it still has diehard believers. It's one of history's strangest conspiracy theories, the idea that we might all be victims of a 1,000-year clerical typo. Number 23. The Great Eel Migration Mystery. For centuries, Europeans believed eels simply appeared out of mud. Even Aristotle claimed they were born from earth and rain. No one could find eel eggs, ever, they just showed up. It wasn't until the 20th century that scientists finally solved the riddle. Eels travel thousands of miles from rivers and lakes all across Europe to spawn in one secret place, the Sargasso Sea in the Atlantic Ocean. No one has ever witnessed it firsthand, but we know it happens. So yes, the eel mystery lasted over 2,000 years, all because humanity couldn't imagine fish having better vacation plans than we do. Number 24. The Exploding Pants Epidemic, 1930s, New Zealand. In the 1930s, New Zealand farmers began using a new chemical weed killer called sodium chlorate. It worked great until their pants started exploding. The chemical soaked into their clothes, and when it dried, even the tiniest spark could ignite it. Farmers reported trousers bursting into flames while working, smoking, or even just sitting near a fire. Entire barns went up in flames. The government eventually banned the chemical, but not before dozens of fiery wardrobe malfunctions. It's one of those bizarre moments when fashion safety advice, stop, drop, and roll, became agricultural policy. Number 25. Operation Cat Drop, 1950s, Borneo. In the 1950s, the World Health Organization tried to fight a malaria outbreak in Borneo by spraying DDT to kill mosquitoes. It worked a little too well. The pesticide also killed the island's wasps and lizards, which like caterpillars and rats multiply like crazy. The rats brought plague, so who had to fix its own mess? Their solution? Parachute 14,000 live cats into Borneo to hunt them. The operation actually worked, but it's still one of the wildest chain reactions in public health history. Sometimes saving lives means airdropping cats out of planes. Number 26. The Day Niagara Falls Stopped, 1848. On March 29, 1848, one of the world's most powerful waterfalls, Niagara Falls, suddenly stopped flowing. People woke up to silence where there should have been thunder. Some thought it was the end of the world. Others walked right out onto the dry riverbed to collect souvenirs. The cause? A massive ice jam upstream on the Niagara River temporarily blocked the flow. For 30 eerie hours, the falls stood still, until the ice broke and the roaring water came crashing back. It was nature's version of hitting pause, and a terrifying reminder of how fragile even the biggest forces on Earth can seem. Number 27. The London Beer Flood, 1814. In 1814, a giant vat at the Moo Brewery in London burst, unleashing a tsunami of beer, over 300,000 gallons of it. The tidal wave tore through streets, demolished buildings, and tragically killed 8 people, some by drowning in beer. Residents reportedly scooped up what they could with pots and pans before realizing the danger. The brewery was never fined. The flood was legally deemed an act of God. It remains one of the strangest industrial disasters in history. Number 28. The Great Fire of London's Cheese Explosion, 1666. When the Great Fire of London erupted in 1666, most people fled. But one woman tried to save her most prized possession, an enormous wheel of cheese. As flames closed in, she attempted to rescue it from her shop cellar. Bad idea. The cheese melted, caught fire, and helped fuel the inferno. The blaze destroyed nearly 90% of the city's wooden homes and landmarks, leaving thousands homeless. It's one of history's tastiest but dumbest decisions, proving that sometimes dairy really does make everything worse. Number 29. The dancing goats that inspired coffee, circa 9th century. Legend says a goat herder named Kaldi in Ethiopia noticed his goats acting strangely hyper after eating red berries from a certain plant. Curious, he tried the berries himself and felt the first caffeine buzz in history. From those dancing goats came coffee, the beverage that would fuel centuries of productivity, study, and terrible decisions in lecture halls worldwide. It may be a legend rather than verified fact, but it's still one of history's most accidental discoveries. Without hyperactive goats, the world might never have invented morning meetings. Number 30. The Strasbourg Cathedral Lightning Rod Panic, 1770s. When the first lightning rods were installed on Strasbourg Cathedral, locals went into a frenzy. They believed the device, invented by Benjamin Franklin, would anger God by stealing his thunder. The city was split. Some demanded the rods removed. Others insisted they saved lives. Eventually, a massive lightning storm struck, and the cathedral didn't burn down. That shut everyone up real quick. It was one of the earliest scientific controversies, people arguing faith versus physics, and a reminder that progress often starts with a good old-fashioned moral panic. Number 31. Emperor Norton I, 1859. In 1859, a man named Joshua Norton in San Francisco decided that democracy wasn't doing the job. So he declared himself Emperor of the United States and later added Protector of Mexico for good measure. Instead of laughing, the city embraced him. Local restaurants let him eat for free. His self-issued money was accepted by shopkeepers, and his royal decrees, like dissolving Congress, were printed in newspapers for fun. When he died, 10,000 people attended his funeral. Turns out, he ruled more hearts than any real emperor ever did. Number 32. Operation Vegetarian, World War II. During World War II, Britain cooked up one of the wildest secret plans ever, Operation Vegetarian. The goal? Drop linseed cakes infected with anthrax over German pastures, so their cows would die, and so would anyone who ate the beef. The plan was fully developed and ready to go. Millions of infected cakes were even produced. But thankfully, the war ended before it was used. It's probably the only time in history humanity was saved by not serving dinner. Number 33. The Cursed Diamonds, 1900s. From the Hope Diamond to the Koh-i-Noor, history is full of cursed gems said to bring doom to their owners. The Hope Diamond allegedly drove its possessors to madness, ruin, and death. Royal families passed the Koh-i-Noor between empires, each suffering betrayal, invasion, or downfall soon after. Of course, the curses were just superstition. Today, both sit safely in museums, untouched. Because, let's be honest, even scientists don't want to risk bad luck from sparkly doom rocks. Number 34. The Hat Tax, 1784. In 1784, Britain introduced a hat tax to raise money. The logic? The richer you were, the more hats you owned. So more hats meant more taxes. To prove payment, each hat needed a special stamp. Of course, people being people, counterfeit stamps, smuggling, and secret hat-sharing clubs quickly followed. The tax became so unpopular it was eventually scrapped. It's the only time in history someone could literally go broke just for having too much drip. Number 35. Exploding mailboxes, 1900s. In the early 1900s, American pranksters discovered that mixing a bit of gunpowder with a sturdy metal mailbox made for an impressive and incredibly stupid explosion. The trend spread like wildfire across small towns, turning peaceful neighborhoods into mini war zones. Farmers lost mail, postmen lost patience, and the U.S. government eventually stepped in, making it a federal crime. Authorities even reinforced mailboxes with steel. Because nothing says innovation like turning mail delivery into a high-risk demolition sport. Number 36. The Metric Time Experiment, 1793. During the French Revolution, officials decided the old way of telling time was too royal. So they invented metric time. 10 hours in a day, 100 minutes per hour, 100 seconds per minute. New clocks were made, schedules rewritten, and everyone was completely confused. Farmers missed work, people overslept, and no one knew when lunch was anymore. After 2 chaotic years, France scrapped the idea. Turns out, you can overthrow kings, but not the concept of 24 hours. Number 37. Operation Mincemeat, 1943. In 1943, British intelligence pulled off one of the strangest and most successful wartime deceptions ever. They dressed up a corpse as a Royal Marine officer, attached fake invasion plans to him, and dropped the body off the coast of Spain. German agents found it, believed every word, and redirected their defenses, far from the real target, Sicily. The plan worked perfectly. It's the only military victory in history achieved thanks to a very convincing dead guy. Number 38. The 1904 Olympic marathon disaster. The 1904 St. Louis Olympics hosted what might be the most chaotic marathon in history. Runners battled 90 degrees Fahrenheit heat, dusty roads, and 0 water stations. One competitor hitched a ride in a car for 11 miles. Another was chased off course by dogs. The winner was caught cheating, and the real champion nearly died after drinking rat poison, laced performance tonic. It was less a race and more a survival game. Basically, the world's first reality TV marathon, without cameras. Number 39. The Dancing Donkey Election, 1824. In the 1824 U.S. presidential election, Andrew Jackson's campaign used a surprisingly effective symbol, a dancing donkey. Jackson supporters turned the humble donkey into a mascot, portraying it as clever, hardworking, and stubbornly loyal, much like their candidate. The image caught on, appearing in newspapers, banners, and political cartoons. Meanwhile, opponents had no idea how to respond, which only fueled its popularity. It's the only election in history where a politician's fortunes literally danced into office on 4 legs. Number 40. Project A119, 1958. During the height of the Cold War, the U.S. Air Force secretly considered blowing up the moon with a nuclear bomb to scare the Soviets. Known as Project A119, the plan was designed to demonstrate American power and scientific prowess. Scientists even ran simulations to predict the explosion's effects. Luckily, the project was shelved before anyone touched a missile. It's the only time in history humanity almost turned the moon into a cosmic fireworks show, purely for flexing on our neighbors.